Welcome to Finance Empire Real Life Stories. Before we begin tonight's story, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine sitting in your car outside a gas station, while the sun disappears behind the buildings. Your children are laughing softly in the back seat, but your stomach feels tight because in less than 1 minute, another car is going to pull beside you. Someone you used to love is about to step out. And for 60 seconds, you have to pretend everything is normal. No fighting. No tears, no old memories, just backpacks, seat belts, and short sentences that hide 1,000 emotions. A lot of people think divorce ends when the papers are signed. But sometimes the hardest part begins afterward. Sometimes the real battle is learning how to stand in the same parking lot with someone who once knew every detail about your life and now feels like a stranger. Tonight's story is not just about custody exchanges. It's about pressure, silence, self-control, and the invisible emotions people carry every single day. And while you listen, you'll also improve your English naturally through real conversations, emotional vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and the hidden meaning behind short everyday sentences. So, grab a coffee, relax, and let's step into the glowing lights of the Midway gas and sip, where Peter is about to begin another Friday night ritual he never asked for. The digital clock on Peter's dashboard clicked from 5:57 to 5:58 p.m. as he slowly pulled into the gas station parking lot. The evening sky looked bruised with deep orange and fading purple clouds, and the bright fluorescent lights above the pumps made everything feel cold and artificial. Peter parked beside pump 4, exactly where they always met. Routine mattered now, predictability mattered. In a life that had fallen apart piece by piece, small routines became survival mechanisms. In the back seat, Maya quietly tapped her sneakers together while Leo stared out the window with the blank expression children develop when they've learned to observe tension without asking questions. Peter adjusted the rear view mirror, even though he didn't need to. His eyes weren't checking traffic. They were checking himself. "You guys have everything?" he asked softly. Leo nodded without looking away from the window. "My charger's in the bag," Maya whispered. Peter forced a small smile. "Good. And your homework folder?" "In the blue bag." "Okay." The silence returned immediately after the conversation ended. Not a peaceful silence, a careful silence. The kind people create when everyone in the room is trying not to make things worse. Peter reached for the coffee sitting in the cup holder, but it had already gone cold. He took a sip anyway. Bitter, stale, metallic. His body was tense in ways he no longer noticed consciously. His shoulders were tight. His jaw hurt from clenching. Even his breathing felt shallow. This was the ritual of the quarter tank. He always filled the car halfway before the exchange because it gave him something to do while waiting. Something practical. Something measurable. Gasoline made sense. Divorce did not. Outside the windshield, people moved casually around the station. A teenager laughed beside pump 2. An older man cleaned his windshield with slow circular motions. Somewhere nearby, music played faintly through cheap speakers. Normal life continued all around him while his own life paused for exactly 60 unbearable seconds every Friday evening. Then Leo suddenly sat up straighter. "She's here." Peter's stomach tightened instantly. A silver SUV turned slowly into the parking lot, its headlights briefly flashing across Peter's windshield before parking opposite them. The engine idle with a low growl. Peter stared at the steering wheel for 1 extra second before looking up. Sarah sat behind the wheel, both hands gripping it tightly. Even from this distance, he recognized the exhaustion in her posture. She looked thinner than she had a year ago. Sharper around the edges somehow. For a brief moment, neither of them moved. It felt absurdly similar to two boxers waiting for the bell, before a fight neither wanted to continue. Then Sarah opened her door. Cold evening air rushed through the parking lot as Peter stepped out too. The smell of gasoline mixed with approaching rain drifted between them. Neither smiled. Neither waved. They simply existed in the same space, like two people carrying invisible armor. Peter walked toward the trunk and opened it carefully. The heavy sound echoed across the pavement. Inside sat the blue duffel bag, packed with soccer uniforms, homework folders, extra clothes, medication, and snacks. An entire temporary childhood packed into nylon compartments. Sarah opened the back of her SUV at the exact same moment. Their movements mirrored each other so precisely it felt rehearsed. Because it was. Every Friday looked almost identical now. Peter lifted the blue bag out carefully. Soccer practice is tomorrow morning at 10, he said quietly. Sarah nodded once. I know. Leo's inhaler is in the side pocket. Maya said she finished most of her reading assignment. Good. Good. Their words sounded like a conversation and more like information exchanged between airport employees during a shift change. Short, efficient, emotionally neutral, safe. Peter handed her the bag. Their fingers brushed for less than a second, but even that tiny contact carried years of history inside it. He remembered holding that same hand in hospital delivery rooms. Now both of them acted as if touching each other might reopen old wounds. Behind them, the children climbed slowly from the sedan. Peter noticed how Leo immediately looked at both parents before moving, as if measuring the emotional temperature of the situation. Children become experts at reading silence long before adults realize it. Maya hugged her stuffed rabbit tighter against her chest. Peter crouched down to their level. Hey, he said softly. Be good for Mom, okay? Leo nodded. Maya wrapped her arms around his neck quickly. Peter held her tightly for one extra second, breathing in the faint smell of strawberry shampoo from her hair. For a dangerous moment, emotion surged into his throat unexpectedly. He swallowed it back down. This was not the place. Gas stations are designed for quick transactions, not emotional collapse. Love you guys? He whispered. Love you too. Maya replied immediately. Leo gave a smaller nod. See you Sunday. Peter stood slowly as the children walked towards Sarah's SUV. The sound of seat belts clicking into place echoed faintly through the parking lot. And suddenly the silence between Peter and Sarah grew even heavier, because the buffer between them was gone. Now it was just the two of them standing beneath fluorescent lights, pretending they were unaffected of a wreckage of their former life. Sarah glanced toward him briefly. Did Leo finish the math packet? Mostly. Mostly. One word carrying an entire complicated truth. Mostly meant there had been frustration, tears, breaks, encouragement, small victories. But mostly was easier. Short answers protected both of them from longer conversations. Sarah leaned against the SUV door slightly. Maya said she wasn't feeling good yesterday. She's okay now. I think she was just tired. Another nod. Peter shoved his hands into his jacket pockets, because they were shaking slightly. The air felt colder now. Above them, the buzzing neon sign flickered softly, midway gas and sip. An ordinary place turned sacred by repetition and pain. Peter suddenly noticed Sarah looked exhausted. Not angry, not defensive, just deeply tired. There were faint shadows under her eyes. He wondered if she looked at old family photos sometimes too. He wondered if she still avoided certain songs on the radio. He wondered if she sat awake at night replaying arguments in her head like he did. But the neutral ground had rules. No personal questions. No emotional risks. No reopening the past in front of the kids. Sarah reached for the car door handle. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. Another tiny word doing enormous emotional work. Peter nodded once. Drive safe. You too. She climbed into the SUV and closed the door firmly. Then came the part Peter hated most. Watching them leave. The SUV slowly backed out of the parking space before turning toward the road. Maya waved excitedly through the window. Peter forced himself to smile and wave back. Then the vehicle disappeared into traffic. And just like that, the world became silent. Peter stood alone beside Pump 4, listening to distant highway noise and the ticking sound of his cooling engine. The back seat of his car suddenly looked impossibly empty. A single juice box straw rested near the floor mat beside one forgotten sneaker. The silence inside the sedan felt unnatural now. Almost violent. 2 minutes earlier the car had contained life, movement, noise, responsibility. Now it contained absence. Peter sat behind the steering wheel, but didn't start the engine immediately. His chest hurt in that strange, dull way emotional pain sometimes becomes physical. He rubbed his face slowly with both hands. Then his phone vibrated. A message from Sarah. Maya forgot her tablet under the seat. Peter sighed softly. Of course she did. He reached back automatically, his fingers brushing against the cold plastic device hidden beneath the passenger seat. For a moment he stared at the message screen. This was how communication worked now. Tiny digital fragments replacing real conversations. He typed carefully. Found it. I'll bring it Sunday. 3 dots appeared instantly. Thanks. That were no anger, no warmth. Just survival. Peter placed the phone down and leaned his head against the seat. Outside, another car pulled into the gas station. Another family. Another ordinary evening. But Peter knew something most people didn't. Some of the hardest moments in life happen in public places where nobody notices. A gas station. A parking lot. A grocery store. Places where people silently carry heartbreak while strangers walk past holding coffee cups and lottery tickets. Peter finally started the engine. The radio came alive mid-song, filling the silence too aggressively. He shut it off immediately. Tonight he couldn't handle noise. As he pulled out of the gas station, he glanced once more in the rear view mirror. Empty seats. Empty silence. Empty space where his children had been 5 minutes ago. But then he noticed something lying near the cup holder. A small folded drawing. He picked it up carefully at the next red light. It showed 4 stick figures standing beneath a bright yellow sun. One figure was holding hands with another. Despite everything, Maya had still drawn them together. Peter stared at the picture, while traffic lights reflected across the windshield. And for the first time all evening, his eyes finally filled with tears. But next Sunday, something unexpected is going to happen. At the same gas station, a single forgotten sentence will completely change the fragile balance between Peter and Sarah. And the children will witness a moment neither parent is prepared for. So if you enjoyed this real life story and want to continue improving your English through emotional, powerful situations just like this one, make sure you stay here with Fine and CEMPR real life stories. Because part 2 is where the silence finally begins to break.